I am so crazy excited about this gluten-free bread that I'm making my husband because he has really been wanting some bread for a long time. I've never really been the best with yeast, but I have this really awesome thermometer that I use to get the exact temperature that I needed for my liquid. So this is the thermometer that I have. It's really good. Like, I literally was able to get the temperature. As soon as it hit 110, I took it off and added my yeast. And it's rising like so good by the minute. It's yeast, and then I let the yeast sit in there for about 10 minutes, and then I added my flour blend with the 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt with my flour. And yeah, it's like rising so well. I'm really excited to make it. So we'll see how it comes out whenever I get it out of the oven. I just have it sitting at room temperature right now. So yeah. Oh my gosh, so I am like so excited. It is really rising now. Like I said, like, I'm horrible with yeast, so I am so excited about how it's just doing what it's supposed to be doing, and this bread is gonna be really successful. I have high hopes for it, so we'll just see how it turns out, but I'm really excited about the rising process right now. Woo, woo, rise bread, woo. I have literally tried so many different times to make bread, and I just haven't been the greatest at it. And honestly, I bought this magazine from Costco, and in the magazine, so this is kind of the recipe that I use, but I tweaked it out a little bit and did my own thing. I did like a mixture of this recipe and a mixture of so in the back of this magazine, there's like different information on like how to make recipes dairy free, troubleshooting like gluten-free recipes, issues that you might just have with different stuff. And then this was where I read up on a few things. So it's like extra leavening helps dough rise properly. So a lot of these recipes have baking powder in them to help the bread rise even better than if it didn't. And then also this right here was so crazy because literally this is how my bread was turning out, like over and over again. Oh my gosh, like it is really, like, I don't know if you can see the jiggle, but that jiggle is real life. The rise is real life. Look at that. Oh gosh, that's awesome. I'm loving that. So excited. Like, the air pockets in here are just beautiful. That's just beautiful. Like, I can't even say how excited I am. It's almost ready to go in the oven. So I think I'm gonna be baking it for an hour and a half. It says at 325 degrees. And then for an hour and a half until the top is golden, the crust is firm, and the loaf sounds hollow. So we'll see how that works out, and then I will come back and record an hour and a half after I get it out the oven. Okay, so I just pulled the bread out. It doesn't look exactly how I was wanting it to look. Like, the middle pieces didn't puff up really, but we'll just have to see. I have to let it cool down for 2 hours, and then I can cut into it for the first time. So cool. Okay, I'm actually happy with how the bread turned out as far as like the way that it feels. It's not very heavy. It has a nice crust on it, and even though it kind of like baked inward, not how I was wanting it to do. I was looking for more of like a puffed up kind of like sandwich bread look, but it does feel very light. It has like a nice crunch sound to it. And when I flick it, I can't do it right now, but when I... Okay, so now that I have it on a cutting board here, it sounds really nice to me compared to like some of the other breads that I've used or that I've made. Having a bread knife is the best to cut into whole loaves of bread because when you go to cut, it saws through versus pushing all the dough into the bread as you're cutting it. So I'm going to slice an end here. I don't know if I'll be able to hold my phone and slice it at the same time, but I'll slice it halfway and then I'll come back and show you kind of what that looks like and maybe I can saw the rest of it on camera. Okay, so I've gotten into it a little bit of the ways, and as I'm cutting it, it just sounds so nice. And you see how the knife comes out with just some crumbs on it, not very sticky dough, like sticking on it. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. It's hard for me to cut while being on the phone. Let's see. Okay, so I didn't do a great job at cutting that piece, but just to kind of show you, like, that's such a nice crust. I could do anything with this crust, even with it being crispy like this. I can turn this into gluten-free breadcrumbs. And on the inside here, if you can see on the inside here, just like the nice transition from crunchy to soft. Those air pockets. So once I actually start cutting through, I'm going to be able to see how sticky it got and if I did a good enough job for it to come out like a regular piece of toast. So I'll be right back. This is a really thin slice that I just sliced off from the one that I messed up on. As I'm filling it right now, it's still pretty warm in the middle, so I do need to allow it to cool down a lot more before I can start really using it. But as far as I can tell, it's not very sticky. I know the more it cools down, the better of a consistency it'll be here. But honestly, like, I'm very proud of this piece of toast. Or, it's not toast, but I'm very proud of this piece of bread that I made. This whole loaf, I think. So, hubby, this was for you. I hope it's going to be delicious. And I will be back with a tutorial on the beginning to end of what I did to come out with this loaf. And I know the more that I do it, and the more that I practice, it'll be better and better each time. And that's the same thing for you guys. The more that you practice baking gluten-free and studying gluten-free, if that's the way that you have to eat in your home, the better you'll be. So don't give up. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, I'm going to try it.
5, 6. Mom, look. Mom.
Yeah. It has a really good flavor. The texture is nice. The crust on the outside isn't like too crunchy. In the middle, it just has like such a great flavor to it. It has a little bit of sweetness because of the sugar that went into the milk, but it's not even sweet at all. It also has that 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So it gives it like a nice balanced flavor. Very soft. I think he's going to be really happy with this. I'm so super excited. Have to try this recipe at home. Like I said again, I will be back with a complete tutorial on what I did and the ingredients that I used. And yeah, like, this is so good.
On my hands, but
What do you think, really?
I think it's fantastic. I can make sandwiches with this. I can eat bread. It looks like real bread. I mean, it is real bread. Oh, natural.